Hello, my name is Sean Hunter, and I'd like to welcome you to my session of this online OMMC course. What I want to talk to you about is a joint project between DHH and the Army Museum of Alberta, Rory Corey, where we work together to put together a traveling museum exhibit. The exhibit is completed and it's ready to travel. COVID has been a very difficult time for all museums, and naturally, this exhibit has been delayed due to COVID. Nobody wants to have pay for an exhibit to arrive, even though the cost is very affordable for the full-blown exhibit. It arrives in a 53-foot dedicated 18-wheeler trailer, and this trailer is going to have a wrap. So if it's left on a museum site, it's great advertising of the temporary exhibit that's there. So like I said, there's a 3D and a 2D exhibit, and both of these are very similar. However, the 3D has artifacts. The 2D is more flexible and can go into many more locations because there's no concerns about artifacts. So as you can see on the screen, this is the floor plan of the exhibit. The exhibit starts on the right of this floor plan with a section that we call the sawtooth section. And as you look down that section, what you're introduced to is really the very start of Canada's mission in Afghanistan.
The actual mission in Afghanistan was authorized by the United Nations Security Council. It was the only time that Article 5 of NATO has been invoked. During what was called Enduring Freedom, which was the original invasion of Afghanistan by the Americans to try and capture bin Laden, and we agreed that we would participate and help them. We put ships in the Gulf, a very substantial commitment. In fact, at one time we were in command of Gulf Fleet.
Lorsqu'on va faire un abordage, c'est tout le temps une situation, c'est un peu de l'inconnu. Il y a une adrénaline, il y a un certain stress, il y a une période de grande fatigue, mais on est toujours content de revenir à la maison.
And we also provided some soldiers, some from the Princess Patricia Regiment.
The Americans quickly came to trust us. We offered the snipers and some other support. The snipers went off and did an exceptional job. Canada's first combat mission really since NATO. It was like another day at the office.
As you look down that exhibit, what you're introduced to is the start of Canada's mission in Afghanistan, i.e. 9/11. And what we have throughout the sawtooth walls are LED TVs embedded into both sides where they're streaming video from 9/11. And what is trying to be done here is kind of the confusion at the time that there was many media sources, people were unsure, there's the footage, it's very dramatic. It's a point in time that most people remember, but this is 20 years ago, so a good portion of the crowds that will be visiting this exhibit have never experienced this. So we tried to make it a little bit immersive and a great introduction to 9/11. At the very far end of that wall, there's a very large TV which is looping video on 9/11, and it's a really well done video that we've had created, and it's 9/11, but it shows the Canadian perspective as well. Naturally, there's the attack on the Pentagon, there's attack on the two World Trade Centers, and there's the attack on the plane that crashed in Pennsylvania. But one of the perspectives we have here, which is, I've never seen it covered, is NORAD. And naturally, NORAD has both Canadians and Americans in there. And at the time, it was being commanded by a Canadian.
American Airlines emergency line, please state your emergency.
Hey, this is Nitty at American Airlines calling. I am monitoring a call in which Flight 11, the flight attendant is advising our reps that the pilot, everyone's been stabbed.
We contacted air traffic control. They are going to handle this as a confirmed hijacking.
And then lost,
Oh my God, another plane has just hit. Oh, another one just hit.
Oh my God.
Alright, this is Huntress with an active air defense scramble for quit 25 and 26. I repeat, an active air defense scramble for quit 25, 26. Scramble immediately. Time 1324. Authenticate Bravo X-ray. Scramble on a heading of 010. Flight level 290.
We watched the second plane go into the towers. And on the NORAD side, the chat rooms, all of the connectivities, the telephones started to go insane. And it was about 10 or 15 minutes after that the Pentagon got hit.
Roger, we're climbing to 3,000, sir, and looks like the aircraft is impacted the west side of the Pentagon.
All right, thank you.
La situation est devenue très claire à ce point que les États-Unis étaient sur attaque.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a difficult moment for America. I unfortunately will be going back to Washington after my remarks. Today we've had a national tragedy.
So for us, the first realization was, once we saw that there was an attack on the Pentagon, another aircraft crashed after it was being, the attempt was made to try and retake it by the passengers in Pennsylvania, we recognized that this was a significant event. And of course, the NORAD headquarters, which incidentally enough was undergoing an exercise at the time, when there was a Canadian, Major General Rick Finley, was the man in the chair who made all of the key decisions, showing the benefits of the binationality of NORAD and the important role that Canadians played.
And then the next thing that became readily apparent is that we did not understand the juxtaposition between that event and the fact that the Russians were conducting a major exercise in the north of their country at the exact same time, which was putting real NORAD forces on real NORAD alert against possible Russian activity.
So we went to DEFCON 3, only the first time since the Cuban Missile Crisis that NORAD had gone to that level of defense condition, and then immediately we started to prepare all of our aircraft. We didn't know if there would be subsequent attacks. Everyone was very much of the opinion there would be cascading or additional attacks on North America, including attacks on Canada. So in Cold Lake, we went from having 2 lightly armed airplanes with just the 20mm cannons armed to about 24 fully armed F-18s inside of a day, and crews brought in from leave, from home, from wherever they were, to be able to fly those aircraft and be prepared to take on a broader defense posture.
À ce moment-là, j'étais également le commandant de la compagnie Vanguard pour le secteur de l'Ouest des forces terrestres. Et je me suis tourné vers mon équipe et j'ai dit, tiens, sergent-major, l'heure de vérification de l'équipement est arrivée. Le quartier général se concerne avec notre disponibilité opérationnelle. Et c'est moins de 20 minutes. Et vous savez qu'on va voir de quoi les gens sont faits. Et je dois dire, ce jour-là, l'équipe était professionnelle accomplie. Ils étaient axés sur la mission. Ils étaient prêts pour faire ce que le Canada voulait, besoin qu'ils fassent.
And we were sitting on our rucks till probably about 7 or 8 o'clock that night, waiting for the government to say, hey, you guys are ready to go.
Les forces russes étaient dans leur base d'opération avancée, en train de conduire les exercices, et simultanément, les États-Unis étaient frappés par une attaque terroriste majeure. Cette situation nous fait croire que cette attaque était le premier dans une escalade à la guerre.
And it was clear that this was an act of terrorism. I remember turning to my wife and saying, what we've just witnessed is going to change the course of history.
So within this section, as you walk down, you see the images of 9/11. When you look back or to the side as you walk down, you will see the other ends of the sawtooth. And you can see that in this picture right here, where it's looking from the side. And as you can see, there's artifacts embedded into the wall. And you know, for example, we have a piece of the World Trade Center, one of the aircraft, a piece of one of the aircraft that flew into the World Trade Center, and we have some other interesting artifacts relating to Al-Qaeda and at that time the hunt for Osama bin Laden. So this is the very first section, and that introduces you to how the mission in Afghanistan started. Going back to the floor plan, we have Zone 2, which is really, it's an Army, Navy, Air Force section where we talk about the buildup in the Persian Gulf. Of course, we had the Navy in there right off the bat. We had the Air Force positioning assets, cargo assets within the area, and we had the Army ramping up to deploy, and very quickly. I mean, all of this was happening as we had a fairly large mission ongoing in Bosnia, in the former Republic of Yugoslavia at the same time. So we tell the stories. There are some great stories within this section. And I have to say that these videos that we have really help narrate and put context to the artifacts. But this is not the story of Afghanistan being told by a gray-bearded historian. This is the story of Afghanistan being told by the people that were there or related to the story directly. Naturally, we do tell other stories such as Gander and what went on there, and the home front as well. But it's narrated by those that were part of the story, not another interpretation.
La première impression, comme je vous disais, c'est vraiment le choc culturel, vraiment qui m'a rentré dedans, de voir, là, justement, comme j'étais en ville, de voir les familles, de voir les enfants, de voir les femmes, de voir les hommes, le statut qu'ils ont. C'est vraiment cette prise de connaissance-là qui fait le plus gros, dans le fond, le plus gros choc, là. Je crois qu'on a suite à l'entraînement, ça nous permet d'avoir un certain détachement qui nous permet, nous, de faire notre travail. Oui, on y va avec empathie, mais par contre, c'est de jamais oublier le mandat qu'on a d'être là-bas. Moi, c'était de veiller à la sécurité. Je me laissais surtout pas distraire par ces facteurs-là qui pourraient minimiser ou baisser ma garde. Donc, c'est vraiment là, d'avoir un certain détachement face à toutes ces situations-là, aussi horribles qu'elles peuvent être, ou de rester toujours là, avec un bon esprit là, pour pouvoir faire son travail.
So it's very well done. And getting back to my point on the Navy and the Persian Gulf, we tell a great story of HMCS Toronto. They end up coming across several tons of hash. And you'll have to watch the videos. You'll have to see the exhibit, get it to your museum to figure out what they did with all that hash. 2 tons of it. Or close to, about 1,000 kilograms. So we also tell the story of the Air Force. Throughout the exhibit, it's all bilingual, and we have worked hard to tell the story of the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. During this first section, we also talk about Op Apollo, and this is PPCLI that were deployed to Kandahar Airfield, and subsequently Canada's participation in Op Anaconda is a very, very interesting story in terms of the use of the snipers with their 50 caliber rifle. We talk and demonstrate the technical aspects of the ballistics of that weapon. We actually have it narrated by Rob Furlong, who was the sniper at the time. We also touch on the Canadians that were brought into it's Operation Anaconda. I mean, and this story is great. It's told by an American general, Rachinsky, who was the commanding officer of the Rakutans at the time, and I won't do it justice. You need to listen to him.
The two U.S. battalions were pretty well spent up, and we had a lot more to do. And that was to clear the whale, which was, we were taking fire from there the entire time. And we couldn't do anything about it. We were putting in airstrikes and doing things. We had to get a unit on the ground to clear the whale. Call up 3 PPCLI out of Kandahar. Not a question, quick planning, quick reaction, get on the birds, fly right into combat and go do their job. And not a casualty. That doesn't happen. You can't say luck.
We're going into this first combat air assault, and I remember the night before when we were having our big final briefing and we're war gaming it and talking through contingencies. We used to call that a rock talk. And my last words to the troops were, I said, take the plan now. This is the start point. I said, we're going to react on the ground, so wait for audibles. There's a living, breathing person on the other side trying to outsmart you, so be ready for anything.
The objective that we were then given was to do an air assault on a large ridge feature that was nicknamed the Whale because it looks like the back of a whale coming out of the water.
So we're sitting on the tarmac. We're flying out at first light, and I'm sitting on my ramp of the Chinook. The RSM says, "Sir, you want to come have a look at this?" And so I look back on the troops, and they're all loaded up and just standing by the aircraft. And what are they doing? They're putting green on their faces, eh? But seeing these guys painting their faces in green, because that's the way they'd been trained, eh? They were putting on their war paint, eh? And I remember a calm coming over me, and I thought about that.
And they're looking at their leaders at this point in time, right? And everything the leader does, they're going to do. And that's why it's so critical to have combat leaders who are humans and are warriors and understand the mission and understand their position of what they're doing. Because everything they're doing now, an 18-year-old is looking at them with big eyes and wanting to do the right thing, but also wanting to come home.
We talk about the support operations, be it a mechanic, be it a UAV operator. We tell the story of the Navy during that time, and not just the Navy that were within the Persian Gulf, but we also talk about the sailors that were in the desert. What were they doing there? We tell that story of Navy clearance divers. It's fascinating. So throughout this exhibit, we've tried to really capture everyone's story. It's a tall order. The time in Kandahar is the biggest part of this exhibit, both in terms of artifacts and in terms of video. So looking back at the layout of the 3D exhibit, you will see that there's a central area with some benches. And what we have there are 10 LED touchscreen TVs with little magnetic speakers that can be held up to an ear to hear who is talking within the video. And at each of these stations, although each one is dedicated to either the beginnings, Kabul, Kandahar, from all of them you can see all of the videos. So if somebody wants to sit there and go through upwards of 200 separate 90-second videos, they can do so. We have we've told the story of Operation Medusa in detail. It is a really great story.
You know, the Taliban have changed their behavior. They've gone from unconventional, now they've gone conventional, and this is based on the experience of what Ian Hope has done, based on the intelligence analysis. And I can't remember, I've seen it before, and you know, we all read Les Grau's The Bear Went Over the Mountain. And it's in that book. We're going to take Canada on, and you know, the assessment was, by doing this, we'll make them fail. We'll make the Afghan leadership fail, we'll make NATO fail.
I took Mike Wright, Colonel Mike Wright, and it's okay, I'm not in command yet, so I can't give orders. But I take command at 1600 on the 19th, so at 1601, you're going to seize the high ground on a mountain called MASUM GHAR.
I mean, this was Canada by itself. My fear was this was going to turn into Canada's Srebrenica. A bad day is when you lose 3 or 4 guys. A catastrophic day is when you maybe lose 10.
So one VP lost a lot of guys the day I arrived. They were in that gunfight. So I get there, and then the next day we're doing a ramp ceremony. And I'm like, wow, welcome to Afghanistan, Blake.
We're talking 500 bad guys sitting in there in prepared defense positions, 10 commanders. I mean, this is the fight where all the marbles.
So we made an agreement that we would do that we would undertake a significant operation, what became Operation Medusa.
I said to Omer, there ain't no one who's going to come down and help us. It's you and me, buddy. And we can't lose this one. We lose this one at all, the house of cards comes crumbling down.
So just to cap up, I wanted to thank you for watching this presentation. I hope you found it interesting. We're really looking to get both of these exhibits out. So if you're interested in having either of these exhibits, please contact Rory Corey at the TMM. We will also be sending out some information to all OMMC members regarding this exhibit. But this is more or less just a heads up for OMMC members, so you can see some components of the exhibit. I believe that we have a lot of unique stories, and in many situations, the stories that are being told have not been told before. So it's a great exhibit that could pretty much fit within any space as far as the 2D exhibit goes, and the 3D exhibit is absolutely fantastic with incredible artifacts. So thank you very much. Once again, my name is Sean Hunter, and I can be reached at sean.hunter@forces.gc.ca, and if there's any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Thank you very much.